you work with SAP, whether you're a consultant, a developer, a finance manager, or just someone curious about where enterprise software is heading, then this is the video you've been waiting for. Today, we're going deep on SAP Joule, what it is, what it can do, how it's changing the way companies run, and most importantly, how you can take advantage of it. By the end of this, you'll have a complete picture of Joule in 2026, where it's going next, and how to position yourself as an expert. Let's get into it. And welcome to the AI with Arun show. Let's start with the basics. SAP Joule is SAP's generative AI assistant, but calling it just an assistant in 2026 would be like calling a smartphone just a phone. When SAP first introduced Joule in 2023, it was a chatbot. You could ask it questions and it would give you answers, similar to asking Google, but with SAP knowledge baked in. By 2024, it became a co-pilot. It could suggest actions and guide users through complex processes. In 2025, SAP introduced AI agents. Instead of just advising, Joule could now actually do things for you, step by step, automatically. And in 2026, Joule has become a full agentic platform with over 40 specialized agents and 2,500 skills running across 35 SAP applications. It's not just answering questions anymore, it's running parts of your business. Now let's lift the hood and see how Joule actually works, because this is what makes it so powerful compared to a regular chatbot. When you ask Joule something, say, show me all overdue invoices over $10,000, it doesn't just search a database. First, it taps into something called the knowledge graph, SAP's massive map of 7.3 million data fields across your entire system, connecting suppliers, customers, finance, HR, everything. Then it routes your request through the AI foundation on SAP's business technology platform, which picks the right AI model and the right specialized agent. That agent then goes out, reads your live business data through the Business Data Cloud, and executes the work. It doesn't just tell you what overdue invoices exist, it can actually trigger a follow-up action. The result? You get an accurate, real-time, actionable response in seconds. Let's get into the real use cases, starting with finance, because this is where Joule is creating the most immediate, measurable value. Picture a cash management team at a global company. Every morning, someone would spend 2 or 3 hours pulling bank statements from a dozen different banks, reconciling transactions, and building a cash position report. With Joule's cash management agent, that entire workflow runs automatically. It reasons over the bank data, spots issues, and gives you a ready-made summary. SAP reports up to 80% time savings here. Then there's the invoice dispute agent. You know how a supplier calls saying they haven't been paid and someone has to dig through emails and systems for an hour just to understand what happened? Joule investigates automatically and proposes a resolution, often the same day. And for companies doing international trade, the trade classification agent reads your product descriptions and recommends the right customs codes. That alone used to require expensive compliance consultants. Moving to supply chain and procurement, two areas that are absolutely critical and where Joule is delivering game-changing capabilities. On the supply chain side, imagine a production manager at a manufacturing company. Every day they manually check, do we have enough raw materials? Are the machines available? Can we release this production order? Joule's production planning agent does all of this automatically. It checks the conditions and releases the order when everything checks out. The manager just reviews the summary. And if there's a disruption, say a factory in Taiwan has a fire and your supplier can't deliver, Joule doesn't just alert you. It maps the downstream impact across all your open orders and builds you a mitigation plan. On the procurement side, think about getting bids from 15 suppliers for a complex product. Someone used to spend days in Excel comparing all those bids. The bid analysis agent reads all 15, does the comparison across every variable, and gives you a recommendation in minutes. SAP Joule isn't just for accountants and supply chain managers. It reaches across every function of a business. In HR, within SuccessFactors, Joule can now manage the entire talent acquisition process, from writing job descriptions to shortlisting candidates to drafting onboarding plans. It also watches for patterns that suggest an employee might be about to resign and flags it proactively. For customer service teams, the Concur Expense Agent is a fan favorite. Snap a photo of your receipt, and Joule fills in the entire expense report and submits it. No more manual data entry. And for developers, this is huge. Joule for Developers is an AI coding assistant specifically trained on ABAP, SAP's custom programming language. Unlike GitHub Copilot, which struggles with ABAP, Joule actually understands SAP's data models and coding standards. It generates code, writes tests, and can explain legacy code in plain English. SAP reports 20% faster development and 25% faster testing. That's a massive productivity boost for development teams. Now let's talk about two very exciting announcements from SAP Sapphire 2026, held in Orlando just this month. First, Joule Work. This is a completely redesigned user experience, a central AI hub that works on your desktop, phone, and web browser. Instead of logging into S/4HANA for one thing, then Ariba for another, then SuccessFactors for HR, you do everything in Joule Work with a conversational interface. SAP's VP of Product described the shift perfectly. The user becomes the controller of a fleet of AI agents that do the work for them. That's a fundamental change in how people interact with SAP. Second, Joule Studio. This is now generally available, and it's a big deal. Before, you could only use the agents that SAP built. Now, you can build your own custom agents in a low-code, no-code environment. You define the goals, the rules, the data connections. Joule Studio handles the rest. This opens up SAP AI to every company, regardless of their technical resources. Let's talk business value. Because at the end of the day, technology has to justify its price tag. The numbers here are striking. Cash management teams save up to 80% of manual time. SAP now offers over 40 specialized agents and 2,500 skills. And according to Oxford economics research commissioned by SAP, 41% of enterprise tasks globally will be AI supported within 2 years. There are 4 core value drivers to understand. First, time savings. Every automated process frees people to do higher value work that actually requires human judgment. Second, accuracy and compliance. AI agents don't make typos, don't skip steps, and don't forget rules. In heavily regulated industries, this dramatically reduces compliance risk. Third, speed of decisions. Joule gives executives real-time intelligence instead of reports that took a week to prepare. And fourth, competitive advantage. Gartner predicts that 40% of enterprise applications will include AI agents by end of 2026. Companies that deploy now are building a capability gap that will be very hard for laggards to close. Now, let's look at the roadmap, what SAP has planned for the second half of 2026. And there are some really significant announcements here, especially one that changes the game for customers still on legacy systems. First, Agentic orchestration becoming generally available. This is where you give Joule a high-level business goal, and it figures out the steps itself, coordinating multiple agents without you managing each one. Massive leap forward. Second, and this is huge, SAP announced at Sapphire 2026 that Joule agents will now work with on-premise ECC systems, not just cloud. For years, ECC customers felt left out of the AI revolution. SAP heard that feedback. If you're enrolled in Rise with SAP's Max Success Plan, you can start using AI agents on your current landscape while you plan your migration. Third, deep research. Joule will synthesize your internal SAP data with external market intelligence to answer strategic questions that currently require entire analyst teams. Looking further out to 2027 and beyond, SAP's vision is what they call the autonomous enterprise, and it's both exciting and a little mind-bending. Remember, the ECC end of maintenance deadline is December 2027. SAP is framing this not as a deadline to dread, but as a doorway. Your S/4HANA migration isn't just a technical upgrade anymore. It's the prerequisite for competing in an AI-first world. Companies that delay their move to S/4HANA are also delaying their access to Joule agents that competitors are already running. On the longer-term roadmap, multi-agent ecosystems, where Joule collaborates with Microsoft Copilot, Salesforce Einstein, and other AI tools using open standards. Your SAP data becomes part of a company-wide AI network. And perhaps most futuristic, Joule agents connected to physical systems, factory robots, sensors, smart warehouses. The gap between the digital SAP world and the physical operations world starts to close. Okay, let's get practical. You know what Joule does, and you want to start. The path depends heavily on what version of SAP you're running, so let's go through each scenario. If you're on S/4HANA Public Cloud, congratulations, you're in the best position. Joule is included in your Rise with SAP subscription at no extra cost. Step 1, log into SAP for Me at me.sap.com and verify your entitlement is active. Step 2, your basis team activates Joule in the SAP BTP cockpit. There's no separate infrastructure setup since SAP pre-wires everything. Step 3, configure role-based assistance. So your finance team gets finance agents and your HR team gets HR agents. Step 4, start with the pre-built agents. Don't try to do everything at once. Pick 2 or 3 that address your biggest pain points and drive measurable results first. Step 5, once you've got confidence, use Joule Studio to build custom agents for your unique processes. The whole journey from zero to your first agent can take as little as a few weeks. Now for the more complex scenarios. If you're on S/4HANA Private Cloud, Joule is available but requires more setup work than public cloud. Your basis team needs to configure the SAP BTP environment, but ABAP AI capabilities are available for releases from 2021 onwards as of Q2 2026. The fastest path is through the Rise with SAP Max Success Plan. For on-premise S/4HANA customers, and this is the big news from Sapphire 2026, SAP has done a U-turn. They're now bringing Joule agents to on-premise S/4HANA for customers who have committed to migration via Rise with SAP. SAP's exact words: you can start generating value from AI today on the SAP Business AI platform while you're modernizing your estate. And for ECC customers, look, the December 2027 maintenance end date is real. But more importantly, ECC means you're essentially locked out of the AI era. The good news is, the new on-prem offer may cover eligible ECC scenarios too. But the message is clear. You need to start your S/4HANA journey, not just for compliance, but for competitive survival. Here's a concept that's worth spending a minute on, because it explains why Joule is more trustworthy than a general AI chatbot for enterprise work. Imagine asking ChatGPT, what's the current credit limit status of customer number 12345 in our SAP system? It can't answer. It doesn't know your system. Now ask Joule the same question. Joule taps into the SAP Knowledge Graph, which is essentially a massive semantic map of 7.3 million data fields, every customer, every vendor, every GL account, every process, and how they all connect. It then uses a technique called retrieval augmented generation, which means it pulls your actual live data before it answers. It doesn't guess. And then there's Clean Core. When your SAP system is full of custom-coded modifications, it's like a city with broken streets. The AI GPS struggles to navigate. Clean Core is about keeping SAP standard as much as possible, so Joule can operate reliably and consistently. Companies with clean, well-structured S/4HANA get dramatically more value from Joule than those running heavily modified legacy systems. Let's talk about how you actually become a Joule expert, because this is a skill that's going to be enormously valuable as companies deploy these capabilities. There are 3 tracks depending on your role. For everyone, start at SAP Learning Hub at learning.sap.com. There's a free learning journey specifically on provisioning and implementing Joule. SAP Community is incredibly active right now, with blogs and how-tos from real practitioners. Watch the official SAP Joule demos on YouTube to see the interface and capabilities in action. For certifications, the C_AIG 2026 exam, SAP Generative AI Developer, is the most recognized credential. You can prepare through Udemy's SAP AI Masterclass or through official SAP training centers. And critically, get hands-on. SAP offers free BTP trial accounts at trial.sap.com. You can build your own Joule skill in a sandbox without spending a penny. The SAP Discovery Center has guided AI missions that walk you through real exercises. Companies like Accenture, Deloitte, IBM, Capgemini, TCS, Infosys, and Coforge are actively hiring SAP AI specialists. This is a skill that pays immediately. One combination that deserves special attention is Joule plus SAP Signavio. And if you haven't heard of Signavio, let me explain. Signavio is SAP's process mining tool. It reads your transaction data and reconstructs exactly how your business processes actually run. Every step, every actor, every time delay. It's like an X-ray of your operations. So, for example, Signavio might discover that 12% of your invoices are being paid late, and the root cause is that purchase order approvals are sitting in someone's inbox for an average of 4 days. That's a process problem. Here's where the magic happens. Previously, you'd hire consultants, run workshops, build a change management plan, and 3 to 6 months later, maybe the process improves. Now, Signavio feeds that finding to Joule, and Joule automatically adjusts the approval thresholds for low-risk vendors, notifies the relevant people, and monitors whether it worked, all without a project. It became a continuous improvement cycle rather than a periodic project. This combination became generally available in February 2026, and it's one of the most compelling use cases for business users. Let me be direct about something. The career opportunity here is significant, and the window to get ahead of it is right now. SAP AI specialists are seeing salaries in the $130,000 to $180,000 range in the US market, and job postings for SAP AI roles have roughly tripled between 2024 and 2026. Companies like Accenture, Deloitte, IBM, Capgemini, TCS, and Infosys are all actively building SAP AI practices and are struggling to find qualified people. There are 4 roles that are particularly hot right now. SAP AI Functional Consultant. You take your existing SAP functional knowledge, add Joule expertise, and you become significantly more valuable immediately. Joule Studio Architect. This is a brand new role designing custom AI agents. Virtually no one has formal experience in this yet, which means early movers have a clear advantage. ABAP AI Developer. Developers who can use Joule for Developers to accelerate S/4HANA implementations are in extremely high demand as companies race to complete their migrations before the 2027 deadline. The key message: you don't need to start from scratch. Your existing SAP knowledge is a foundation. Add AI skills on top and you multiply your market value. Before we wrap up, let's bust some myths, because there's a lot of misinformation about Joule out there, and I want you walking away with the right picture. Myth 1. It's just a chatbot. Not in 2026. Joule is an autonomous agent platform that executes real business processes. Myth 2. You need to be on cloud. Just busted at Sapphire 2026. On-Prem customers can now get access. Myth 3. It'll replace SAP consultants. The opposite is true. Every Joule deployment needs skilled people to implement, configure, and manage it. The demand for SAP AI professionals is exploding. Myth 4. It's too expensive for mid-market. Rise with SAP includes Joule at no extra cost, and SAP is rolling out consumption-based pricing for developers that works for companies of all sizes. And myth 5, and this is important, the AI makes stuff up. Unlike generic AI tools, Joule uses retrieval-augmented generation. It reads your actual live SAP data before it answers, grounded in your knowledge graph. And every single agent action has a full audit trail. This is enterprise-grade AI, not a public chatbot. Okay, let's make this concrete. Here's a practical 30-day plan you can start today, regardless of your role. Week 1, learn the landscape. It's all free. Start at learning.sap.com, watch the official SAP demos on YouTube, and join the SAP community. Just consuming good content for a week will give you more Joule knowledge than 90% of the market. Week 2, understand your specific scenario. Which SAP version are you on? Talk to your SAP account executive about your entitlement. Go to sap.com/business-AI and look at what agents are relevant for your industry. And critically, identify your top 3 pain points that Joule could address. This is how you build a compelling business case internally. Week 3, get hands-on. Sign up for the free SAP BTP trial, do the Discovery Center AI missions, and build something in Joule Studio. Nothing builds expertise like actually doing it. Week 4, Commit to your path. Enroll in a certification course, draft your internal business case with the ROI numbers we covered, and connect with SAP implementation partners for a discovery workshop. 30 days from now, you can be a credible voice on SAP Joule in your organization. Let me pull the whole story together, because I want you to leave with a coherent narrative, not just a list of features. The problem SAP was solving? SAP systems are among the most data-rich, process-rich environments in the world, but that power was only accessible to highly trained specialists. Most users could only scratch the surface. The insight? What if you could have a conversation with your ERP, the way you talk to your most experienced colleague? And what if that colleague could not just advise, but act? What SAP built is a layered platform. The Knowledge Graph as the brain, Business Data Cloud as the memory, AI Foundation as the nervous system, and Joule agents as the hands. Where we are today, in May 2026, the platform is maturing fast. 40 agents, 2,500 skills, and now extending to on-premise systems for the first time. Where it's heading? An autonomous enterprise, where ERP systems don't just record what happened, they proactively manage what's happening and anticipate what comes next. And your role? This isn't something to watch from the sidelines. The professionals who invest now in understanding AI within the SAP context will be defining their industries for the next decade. Let me leave you with 6 things to walk away with. 1. Joule is not a chatbot. It's an autonomous agent platform. The paradigm shift is real. 2. The business value is measurable. Look at the numbers. Cash management saves 80% of manual time. These are outcomes that justify the investment quickly. 3. The 2027 ECC deadline matters, but the real urgency is competitive. AI deploying companies are accelerating away from those that aren't. 4. The breakthrough at Sapphire 2026 changes the game for on-premise customers. You no longer have to wait for a full cloud migration to start using AI. 5. Your learning path is clear. Start free at learning.sap.com today. Get the C-AIG certification, build in the free trial environment. 6. And I want to end on this. The biggest mistake in technology careers is waiting for the technology to mature before engaging with it. By then, everyone knows it, and the advantage is gone. Joule is at the inflection point right now. The professionals in this audience who start building expertise today will be the ones defining how their organizations use AI for the next decade. Thank you for watching. Please consider joining us as a member. Click on Join right below this video and support our work. Drop your questions in the comments. If you found this valuable, please share it with your team, because the more people understand this, the better the conversations about deploying it become. See you in the next one.